welcome back to European Exotic Center. This is a first generation Lamborghini Aventador. The Aventador debuted just over a decade ago and is getting ready to be replaced. There have been many variants of the Aventador over the years. Had the SV, the S, the SVJ. Of course, all those had roadster variants as well. And this being the first generation, it's sort of the most raw version of the car, as you would imagine. So as we're getting ready to say goodbye to the Aventador, I figured why not take it out for a drive and just see how it holds up over a decade later. So in the Aventador, initially, it's a very different experience from your traditional supercar, I'll say. Everything feels much more dramatic and much more sort of grand. 6.5 liter V12, 691 brake horsepower. We are starting off in sport mode. It's the middle of the road setting. You do have Strada, your default setting, but sport is in the middle. And then Corsa, that's your track setting. Makes everything much more intense. Gear shifts much more brutal. This is a 7-speed single clutch transmission. Really one of the only modern cars that still has a single clutch transmission, like the SVJs and all the newest Aventadors. I think it kind of adds to the character of this car. When it comes to the V12 Lambos, it's the engine that's always the heart of the car. It's always been like that. It's the defining characteristic of those cars. Yeah, I'm about 6'4". Okay, the hair, you know, that's like 2-3 inches, but my hair is, I kind of have to duck like this.
I haven't had to move my seat tilted like ever in a car review.
I want to hop right into Corsa mode, right?
I'm with that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Quite a lot different. Downshifts are pretty smooth though, I will say. Do have the all-wheel drive grip. It still feels quite big. You know, it's definitely not nimble like the Huracan, nowhere near so. And it still feels like a proper big V12 Lambo. It just, compared to the Murcielago, definitely night and day in terms of ease of driving. Much more usable every day, even though it's not really an everyday car. I mean, you could. I know people who do daily Aventadors, and props to them, because my brother in Christ, that is difficult. So this car weighs basically about 2 tons, and it does feel that. You know, she's a big girl, but once you open her up, yeah, the shifts are immediate, 50 milliseconds, which for a single clutch transmission, that is very impressive. Obviously, if you're feathering the throttle a little bit, the shifts won't be as intense. 0 to 60, 2.9 seconds. Top speed, 217 miles an hour. Carbon ceramic brakes. Pedal feels great as well. Turn-in is pretty immediate. And like I said, you do have that kind of all-wheel drive safety net. It kind of gives you a little bit more confidence behind the wheel, which you do need because this thing is still, you know, hefty. Visibility, I'm not even going to touch on that because you already know the answer. You know what I'm going to say. With just the typical classic kind of Lambo, like slanted windshield. It's just very aggressive. But when you drive this car, it feels like an event, more so than really any other supercar, I would say, for under $1 million. The Aventador, it does give you this experience, this hypercar experience, that other cars in the price range just don't really as much. It feels like a true theatrical experience when you're behind the wheel. This is not the same kind of smooth experience that you get in an F12. Very different.
I mean, like, out of all the cars we've reviewed, like, some about this is different. Like, this is a palpably different review to me than all of the others.
It has a road presence that rivals the $1 million hypercars. The car in front of us, when they see us approaching them right now, they are terrified.
They move to another lane. They don't go.
They're like, oh no, I'm getting over.
Lane.
Yeah.
One dude just drove into a tree. Look at that. Toyota, smoking, on fire.
When you see these aggressive headlights coming at you, cars wider than a Range Rover, yeah.
You're moving.
Get out of the way.
You're moving.
Revs to 8,500 RPM. Oh, it's almost shocking. Like, you do not need coffee if you're driving the Aventador. Each shift is like a shot of espresso. Yep, it is still Audi based beneath, of course, so the electronics are all intact, everything works right, everything's pretty user friendly. This, I think, will go down as one of the most iconic supercars in history. I feel like the Murcielago is kind of hit or miss for some people. People love it, obviously. But the Aventador, it's like everyone loves the Aventador. You know, it is the poster car. That's what the big
V12. You go to your book fair, Tuesday morning, middle school, you go down there, you're buying a poster of an Aventador.
It is the pinnacle supercar experience. Lamborghini invented the supercar back in the 60s with the Muro. I have no interest in being in Strada mode. I will go to great lengths to not be in Strada mode, all right? Put in Corsa immediately. I don't care how much I'm bruised up, my spine is breaking.
Yeah.
I'm not doing Strada mode.
Yeah, no, if you're trying to be like really chill, you know? But
maybe.
I mean,
but Strada?
70% of the time you're going Corsa. If you go Strada, give me the car.
I'm doing Corsa, bro. What I do love about the Aventador is that it takes more effort to drive than, say, an F12 or a 458 or any McLaren, really. It's a bit more engaging and rewarding to drive over basically all of its competitors. Because all the new cars, I mean, they're amazingly quick, and it sounds very spoiled, but like, they're so easy to drive. To hop into a 458, you don't really think about it that much because it's just so easy. Or even a Huracan. This compared to a Huracan, night and day difference. The Huracan is the easiest supercar to drive. I've always said that. This, as I stated before, it's just a little bit more, takes a little more of an effort to drive. Like, to hop in this car, you're kind of like, okay, I gotta like prepare a little bit. It doesn't feel as psychotically quick as like a McLaren, as I kind of always say. Nothing really does. McLaren's always kind of been the king of that crazy surge of power. It's a much more linear acceleration. I mean, it is fast, obviously, but I think it's just the way it gets there, the way it picks up the speed is kind of eye-opening. This car is mental. I mean, that's what Lambos have always been.
Absolutely mental.
Even just like the way this car starts up feels like an event. The way it starts up, it reminds me of like, it's just holding in all this rage. Like, it's just holding it in.
It's like an angsty teen.
Yeah, and then when it finally starts up, it just explodes. Turn in is pretty quick. It really kind of helps the car shrink in size a bit. Makes the car feel a little bit more nimble. Ooh, a little burble.
Is she farting?
And these are cars that will spit flames. There are other cars where people might not know, oh, is it a Ferrari, is it a McLaren, is it a Lotus? I get that too. With this car, you know it's a Lamborghini. That's how iconic the styling is. This was really the first Lamborghini, modern Lamborghini, where Lambo started really focusing on the handling. All the older Lambos were really not that great on a track. And not that you really want to track this, but like, it was a step in the right direction for them. And now all the new Lamborghinis are just like monsters on track, right? The Performantes, the SEJs. This was the kind of start of that, when they started to really say, hey, maybe we should just take a step back on the whole, you know, scaring people into a tree kind of handling characteristics that all the cars had. You still get the Lambo lunacy, but with some extra sophistication. Oh, jeez, it's just so...
Like, the car doesn't want you to be in it.
It's trying to kick you off.
Yeah. It's like a bull that you're trying to ride.
It's like a bull. And of course you get the doors. They decided to make the doors open outwards just a little bit more to make it that much easier to kind of get into. Oh. And you know, a decade later, this car is still a crazy experience. This is the first generation of Aventador, right? So you got the pre-facelift version. It's the most raw variant of the Aventador. Now this is a 2015, so I believe with the 15s they improved the transmission like slightly, so it's a little bit smoother. Correct me if I'm wrong, but everything else is pretty much the same. And so you still get that very just raw visceral experience, analog experience, I'll call it that, compared to today's cars. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. This car is for sale here at European Exotic Center. Check out our website and view all the photos of the vehicle. And I will see you guys in the next one.